MJC, episode 133. My name is Dave Hunt, and I'm joined by Michael Swick.
How's it going, Dave? It's an afternoon podcast. It's hot as hell. There's a spider in the corner of my room I've tried to kill 3 times, so it's going to be a weird episode right now for me because I want to kill this spider, and I don't usually kill spiders, but it freaks me out.
It is hot. I had to cut the grass today. I'm on vacation. I'm in the basement, so I'm actually very comfortable.
Yeah.
And my son gets married this week.
Yeah.
So I will be traveling down to Kentucky Wednesday and he gets married on Friday, June 3rd. So you probably will see a couple. If you follow me on any social medias, you'll see some pictures of some stuff. I'll share some stuff in the group as well. So, he's graduated, getting married, started his job. So he's like a full-grown adult now. So we'll see how, the rest of the week goes with family and meeting people that I don't know that are going to be family. And we'll just see how it goes. So other than that, we are recording a little earlier due to just scheduling and things that we have going on, trying to get everything taken care of. And I don't think I fully told Michael I was on vacation, nor did he know what day I was leaving. Nope.
Found that out yesterday.
So just for the record, if those of you think that we communicate well, we do not.
Yeah.
But we deal really well with under quick decision making. Like, all right, can we do this in an hour? Yeah. Okay, let's go.
Yeah. Luckily, this is a good week for you to do it because everyone's trying to hold information for their showcases, so there's not a lot of news to talk about.
Yeah, I told my son to get married before E3-ish week. Yeah, sure. That's exactly how that went down.
Good planning.
All right. Obviously, we are Digital Days Gaming. We are a weekly podcast that post every Thursday on podcast services around the globe, or however you say it. You can leave us reviews and feedback if at all possible. Stars, ratings, numbers, words, all of that helps. You can watch us on Twitch, twitch.tv/Digital Days Gaming. Where if you linked your Amazon account and your Twitch account, if you have Amazon Prime, you can get a Twitch Prime account, or Prime Gaming is what it's called now, actually. Sorry. Bunch of cool, interesting things are in there. If you play any kind of any gaming at all, usually at least every month there's something for you. So there's definitely an incentive to do that, as well as you get a free Twitch subscription. So if you want to use that on a streamer of your choice, that is always helpful. As a couple of them are joining the stream right now, or subbing. Andy has and Hussein has. So we appreciate that. So if you want to use that sub on us, that's always great and always helpful. Or use it on another streamer. Just don't waste it. That's the biggest thing. You might not like us enough to maybe throw us some free money, but throw it to another streamer, please. I would prefer for it to be us, but don't just leave that benefit just chilling. Yeah, that's not good.
Take what you can get from Amazon and spread the wealth as much as possible.
And everything else is in the show notes. Discord, Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, everything is in our show notes. So you can follow us and join our community and hang out and play some games with us. So with that, I'm going to throw it over to Michael for some very basic news.
Yeah. We'll get into some PlayStation stuff. It's going to be a very PlayStation-centric podcast. So me and Dave are going to go retro today. The first bit of news, though, is multi-platform. EA and Respawn have finally revealed Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order 2, which they're calling Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order Survivor. So, very generic name, but everyone's been waiting for this to happen. It's been an open secret. I don't know if you can call it secret. They've been very upfront of we are making a sequel to this. Sequel to the 2018 game. Only a cinematic trailer, but they did show a 2023 release. The Obi-Wan Kenobi show came out this week, and people are really excited because the timelines kind of line up, so they're hoping for some sort of crossover. Though, reading that, there seems to be a lot of hype for a crossover, but I thought a lot of people liked Jedi Fallen Order because it was kind of
by itself.
Yeah, it's by itself, but I guess there's some crossover characters, so it might not have a full crossover. But the interesting bit of news is this is going to be next-gen only, so it's only going to be a Series and PS5 game. Dave is clapping very calmly into his microphone. So next-gen only. We're starting to see more of this, Gotham Knights and 2 other games the last 2 weeks.
We didn't talk about Gotham Knights. They kind of did. We briefly did, but I'm all for this, because nothing has felt new. Nothing has felt new or innovative or powerful. I was, like we talked about, I was slightly underwhelmed by Ratchet. That movement, like that rifting, seemed to be a little bit more gimmicky to me. I'm sure it was 100% consuming and taxing on the systems, and obviously potentially couldn't be done on PS4. But we heard rumors that it probably could have been.
They could have faked it to get it on PS4.
So hopefully, with whatever Respawn, who is essentially EA's golden boy right now, I'm sure that was in front of a board. I'm sure that was a entertaining discussion, and Respawn's like essentially holding all the power right now with the success of Fallen Order and the success of Apex, and you know his name better than I do, but they just moved him to DICE to help try to fix DICE. Zampella. Yeah, so with all of that build-up of what they've been doing, I would have loved to have been Respawn to be like, no, we can't do it. Well, you have to. Like, no, we can't. Or we can't make it. Well, you have to make it. Well, okay, then it has to be. Like, I would have loved to see that conversation. Like, no.
I wonder if that's one of those things where, as they're going back and forth, EA's like, you have to release it on PS4 and Xbox One. Jesus, I forgot that name of the Xbox console from that gen. And they were just like, so when can you have the game done? And Respawn's like, 2023. And then like they're like, you can't have it done like sooner, because it's been 5 years. You're doing, it will be 5 years. So I wonder if it getting pushed back also just like kind of help convince EA, like, okay, there'll be enough consoles in homes by the time this game comes out that they would feel comfortable releasing it next gen.
This is also a huge opportunity, and obviously we have a console shortage right now, and so as I say this, it's probably almost impossible. But like, you have enough Star Wars fans that Xbox or PlayStation, like, how cool would it be as something like, as an example, you boot up your Xbox and it does like the R2D2 sound effect or something.
I mean, they
like
did
a special edition.
They did that for the Kinect Star Wars one, which was like really cool.
Yeah.
There was the R2D2 one made the sound, and they definitely could take advantage of that. And it's a big enough franchise that like people will buy a console for this now that it's next gen. So there's incentive for the manufacturers and retailers to make sure they have stock the day this game comes out, because you will get people that are like, I was waiting for a Star Wars game to come out to buy a new console, and then you'll get them, and this should work out well. 2023 is a little bit of a bummer, because as we talked about, it is a hell of a drought this holiday season, and this would have been perfect for this to get in there. But I guess I think that
but at the same time, I think this is a huge. I mean, I know they have it through EA Play, but like, this is now, if I'm EA, I'm talking to both Xbox, or what? I guess it is already on Xbox. It's on Game Pass, but I'm talking to PlayStation about what it takes to get it on one of the Plus tiers.
Yeah, one of the Plus tiers, though.
For not for the new game, but for the first one.
Yeah, because at this point you'd want to do that. Either get it on the basic PS Plus tier or get it on that mid tier, just to build up the hype for it, because it's already on the Xbox tiers. So, or the it's on.
But if you could get this on the PlayStation tiers in October or November, with what looks to be the potential drought that we have for PlayStation and for Xbox, like, that would, for anybody that hasn't played it yet, like, this would be a great game for them to play in October and November. I haven't finished it. If you remember, I actually played it on
PC.
Origins. I paid for that $15 a month Origins account or whatever, and I don't think that saves over with Xbox. Like, I haven't looked. It might. So
on PC it might, but not onto the console.
Yeah, so I'll have to see, because I do actually want to finish it. I was enjoying it, and I don't really remember what stopped me from playing it. So.
Just your usual stuff, like this, like life. This gets in the way of like a game like that, or a big release came out. I think that was right around the time. I think you were playing that in between like another major game. But this is good. I was happy to see next gen, and we're starting to see that line. We're going to talk about how some companies are going to support next gen or previous gen a little longer than we'd like. But seeing third parties take that risk, because if anything, you'd think third parties would have the most incentive not to do this, and we're seeing the third parties actually draw the line in the sand and being like, Gotham Knights is only next gen, Star Wars is only next gen, and there was a couple other games that were announced the last couple weeks that they basically canceled their previous gen versions. So it's good to see them do this, because hopefully it'll motivate PlayStation, which we'll talk a lot about in a few minutes. So hopefully it'll motivate PlayStation to be like, you know what, the next Naughty Dog game doesn't need to be on PS4, or like. We'll just talk about it in a couple minutes. We'll just talk about it because I have so many thoughts about like some stuff.
Or they're already doing it, and that's why they haven't said anything.
Yeah. But all right, let's hop into the next story. Unless you had any Star Wars thoughts or anything about that.
No, I mean, it's obviously been surrounded. Like the Star Wars Celebration was in Los Angeles this weekend, so a lot of that was building up hype for that.
Yeah,
so I saw a bunch of stuff from people that were there that looked really cool. Yeah. Nice to see potentially people out and about doing big things again. So.
All right, so PlayStation announced a state of play for Thursday. It's only a 30-minute state of play, so a lot of people are building up hype, and I just don't think 30 minutes is enough to satisfy the E3 summertime hype. But there's a state of play.
And they've already said it's third party and VR, I think.
VR and partners, but there could still be some. Yeah. God of War was just rated in Korea. So, we will be getting a God of War date.
I think people are grasping at straws with that. Sorry.
Yeah, but the fact that it's already hit the rating boards usually is a sign that you'll see it within 3 to 6 months, because the rating usually happens a couple months before the game comes out. So we'll probably get a God of War release date on Thursday as the big first party news from that. And I think maybe
I don't think we're getting a release date. So.
I think either we get a release date or we get an announcement of a dedicated state of play to God of War later this summer that will actually have the release date. But there has to be some God of War news at this point for that. But that's happening Thursday. Luckily for us, for today's podcast, PlayStation and Jim Ryan did a investors presentation, and a lot of news came out from that. The first bit is PlayStation has revealed... Okay, hold on. Let me see where we start. Okay, we'll start with the thing that ties in with the last story. So the presentation showed a graph that shows that PlayStation plans to support first-party titles on PS4 till about 2025, 2026. So they still plan to release PS4 games at least until 2025, and then they showed a graph in 2026 that said they are done with PS4 first-party titles in 2026. So that's a little disappointing. I can already kind of see.
That's 14 years.
In video games, yes.
No, it's in real life. It's 14 years. The console came out 2012.
Yeah. But
that's a long time.
Yeah. So how they broke this down, they didn't outright say we are no longer supporting PS4. They put out a graph that's going to show their output for the next couple years, and PS4 slowly in that graph gets smaller until non-existent until 2026. The graph does show that they plan to have at least 1/3 of their games come to PC that are first party. And then they are going to rev up the mobile department, and that will also take a chunk of their first party output, though I don't know exactly what that means. We're not going to see full games on mobile, but it does mean they are going to spend money on maybe some mobile studios or get their current AAA studios to put out some mobile games maybe. But they do expect to see their PC revenue triple within the next 12 months, and they hope to see that continue to grow. We did get some numbers on their PC sales, which I know is going to drive fanboys crazy. The fact that it's holy shit, 1 million people bought Horizon on PC. 1 million people bought God of War on PC faster than it took 1 million people to buy Horizon. So Sony sees that and is shit, okay. By 2026, 1/3 of our games are coming to PC because there's money to be made there. So they're going to take advantage of it. But Dave, thoughts on first-party PlayStation games potentially going until 2025?
I think a lot of it depends. So as they dip into this games as a service thing, that's where I think that the third will come from. You don't really... Most of the time, games as a services aren't super taxing on your consoles. So I could see some potential for that, especially with some of the third party deals and the acquisition deals they've signed with, quote unquote, smaller studios. I'm sorry, I don't know anything about them, but Haven's not going to make something that's a graphical, cinema, piece of art.
Especially what they're talking about, how they're pitching that game.
Yeah, and as an example, Dreams. Dreams is having a little bit of a hard time running on PS4, but it's running better on PS5. However, you can you can definitely tailor and adjust and do that stuff. So I consider Dreams as a games as a service. MLB The Show as well is not a super, it just came out on the Switch. This thing can run on the PS4 for a long time.
Yeah.
So those, like as you start going down that list, you can definitely see that potential, and and obviously like Ragnarok and Horizon can continue if there is, I would assume at this point in time, like it scares me to say this, but at this point in time with what Sony's been doing, if we do have a third Horizon, I wouldn't be shocked if it's on PS4.
Yeah, and the justification with that would be like, we have to complete the trilogy for the people that bought the PS4.
Yeah, the install base. They're gonna talk about like not having, I have a feeling we're gonna be talking in 2024 them saying like we still are not at full capacity capability of producing these consoles. Like,
yeah,
with by then also with a PS4 Pro Plus or whatever you want to call it, a PS5 Pro out.
Yeah. Oh God, those rumors. I almost included the rumors of a Pro, but I'm just so.
No, and it's I feel like it's inevitable. Like
it's gonna happen. But the fact that
they're both gonna do it.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna get a Series S Plus, Series X Plus. I almost to the point of saying at this point in time, as much as I think that Microsoft is against it, a Series S Plus will just have a disk drive.
Potentially, yeah. Or they'll find something to do. But if you wanted to talk about live service games, I will go a little out of order for here. But Jim Ryan said that they will have 3 live service games running by March 2023. One of those games is already out, and it's MLB The Show 22, which is funny. A lot of people, when I was like looking at comments of stuff, they didn't understand why MLB The Show is considered a live service game, and it's just like they sell packs of cards, and it gets updated weekly with stuff. So MLB The Show is one of the 3 games that they will have live service by March 2023. When asked if one of the other 2 unannounced games are going to be Bungie or Destiny related, Jim Ryan said no, they're not Bungie related, they're not Destiny related, but they wouldn't say what they are. For a little review, Naughty Dog has been working on a Last of Us multiplayer game forever. Fire Sprite are reportedly working on a Twisted Metal game. Guerrilla just started to post stuff for a multiplayer project, and then they have the Deviation Games, which is composed of like Bungie and Call of Duty devs that are working on a multiplayer game. So there's a lot of potential for what these 2 games could be. I think we talked about it last week. Like I would imagine The Last of Us is one of those multiplayer games, just because it just makes sense for it to be live service at this point, and probably free to play. They did say that the live service games will most likely all be coming to PC, just because you want to have the biggest install base. Like, you'd be silly to put out a live service game and limit yourself to just the PS5 or just the PS4 when you invested so much in PC gaming.
It's crazy to think about it, though. I can remember, like a little bit of a throwback to what we've been doing. You, me, Andy, and Glenn, Josh, all sitting in a room, like going, well, but maybe PlayStation doesn't really want cross progression, and they want you to, blah blah blah, cross progression, cross play. Like they're, they came out with like, well, they don't trust everybody else, and now it's like they've gone a full 180, like, and it's crazy to the point where I don't know if I 4 years ago, I would have said that stuff would be on PC at all. Oh yeah, no,
it would have been crazy if you told me a couple years ago, like, God of War would be on PC. Even 3-4 years later, like, it'd still be like, why would they do that? But now the idea that they're going to do live service games on PC, which means they have to do crossplay, is even crazier to me, especially when Jim Ryan wouldn't let Minecraft be crossplay because he's like, I have to protect
Sean Layden.
No, it was Jim Ryan too.
Was it?
Yeah, it was Jim Ryan.
Okay.
Sean Layden was gone by then, I believe. Oh no, it was both of them. Sean Layden, I believe that's part of the reason Sean Layden left, is because like it was like the people above him were like, we're not doing this, and then he had to come out.
I think that he didn't want to. I don't know. We can go back and forth on that, but I think that after he left, when Sony came out with those positions of cross save and cross play, and I think that was part of his exit. Like, he didn't want it.
No, I think it's reversed, because Jim Ryan was the one who said that he wanted to protect the users, and then Sean Layden had to take that ball and run with it and be like, oh, I guess we have to protect our users from the evil Minecraft people on Xbox. But again, we could go back and forth on that. But especially Jim Ryan has said a lot of questionable things that he's then backtracked on shortly after because, money. So the only thing that concerns me about it is, like, I hope, like, we see Activision, Call of Duty, the biggest multiplayer game in the world, struggle with anti-cheat stuff on PC, and it basically breaks, like, the console side of things when you have crossplay turned on. So, like, I hope if PlayStation's going to... They invested so much money in this Last of Us multiplayer game, it's going to probably come out, like, free to play. It's supposed to be their big live service game. If their anti-cheat stuff is not good day one, holy shit. I mean, Bungie struggled with it. Bungie still hasn't quite figured it out, so Bungie can't save it.
BattleEye is very good right now.
Yeah.
Like, whoever, and I don't know who owns BattleEye, and nor do I just know it's called BattleEye because, like, when I boot it up on my PC, I have to sign into it. It is... currently, at least in Destiny's world, it is the anti-cheat system is the best that has ever been.
Yeah, but it's still a constant battle for Bungie to, like, maintain.
Right. They're actually in court, like, suing people.
Yeah,
like, and so there's a lot going on. No, Will, I'm not.
Yeah.
Sorry, there's a chat thing. But so that is something that is scary. However, you can also kind of get away with, like, I haven't heard anything. I mean, you might know better than I do, but, like, does Fortnite have a cheater problem?
For the most part, but they have enough money to fight it. Like, people exploit stuff in Fortnite. Fortnite probably holds up the best compared to, like, I think Call of Duty's like an embarrassment in terms of how they've been handling it. Fortnite seems to be handling it better, but Fortnite also makes stupid money that they solve the problem by just throwing as many people on it as possible. So where if an exploit or something something happens, they just have the power to just, like, throw people on it and fix it.
Just picture this gigantic wall that Epic now hires. Like, most stores have, like, most companies, sorry, I don't know why I said stores, but, like, this big, I don't even know, 100-yard long wall that's, like, 5 foot tall. Anytime, like, the water starts leaking out of it, you might have one guy covering, like, 20 yards. Yeah. And in Epic, you have, like, one guy covering, like, 1 yard. It's like, oh, it's leaking, smack. Oh, it's leaking, smack.
Yeah.
Like,
they just have humans and cannons that they just shoot out when they need to fix a problem. And it's one of the things that's, like, definitely hurt, like, Call of Duty over the last couple of years, like, specifically Warzone. Warzone should be bigger than it is, but the cheating got so bad that it just kind of stunted it a little bit.
And a lot of people either, if you're an exclusive PC player and the cheating is terrible, you just stop playing.
Yeah. And
if you really like the game, you just go to console. Mm-hmm. So, like, but they're at that point in time, they're not an exclusive PC player. Like, so if a PC player is seeing exploitation done and it's ruining their experience, they move on to something else. If it's somebody that really does enjoy the game and has enough friends that are playing the game, no matter what system they're on, it might take them to go buy a console. The reason being is that it is significantly harder to cheat on a console than it is on a PC.
Not impossible, just
spyware
harder.
And shadowware. Yeah, significantly harder. Just to backdoor log or jailbreak stuff, and that's why we consistently get those firmware updates on both systems, Xbox and PlayStation. So so, like, there's just, like, the cheating part is a concern, but I think that over time they might be able to figure that out.
I just want to know, like, so currently, like, if you're a PC developer, you release a game on console, you give the option to turn off crossplay.
Right.
But will PlayStation have that option day one? Because it's like, well, we're PlayStation players on PC, you're playing with PlayStation people on the console. And would you want to limit that smaller PC base? Because technically it's larger, but for PlayStation games, it is smaller on PC.
Right. And then, like, right now, like, again, using Destiny as an example, if I play with a PC player, I'm in the PC pool automatically. But if I'm only playing with console players, it does not put me in the PC pool.
Yeah. Which they found is easier than just, doing the general turn off everything, so, which I'm sure is still an option, but, like, just, you might have friends on, Bungie. I was going to say Battle.net, but I know it's not Battle.net anymore. But yeah, so, like, Bungie had to figure that out, but, we're talking about studios that haven't really done multiplayer games or crossplay, potentially releasing games.
I'm more fascinated with this the revenue tripling in the next 12 months, which means that they have a lot of stuff coming to PC in the next year.
Yeah, I mean, they still have The Last of Us, or the Uncharted PC games. Those aren't out yet. So
Well, they put 4 on there.
no, so the PC version hasn't come out yet. It's still due this summer. So
okay.
like that.
My mistake.
So that should.
So
bring
4
them
and
up.
Lost Legacy combined aren't on PC yet.
They're not. Yeah, they should be out soonish. I think they said.
For some reason, I thought when that remake came to PS5, it came to PC. I'm sorry.
I did too, but it turns out it didn't. As far as I know, but I think it's due like June.
But that's not enough to triple their revenue.
No. But like if the two live service games launch on PC, that might be enough. And also, Horizon and Days Gone have been on there long enough that they probably will hit like the Steam summer sales. So you'll see an increase in sales for those.
I just thought of this too, that the Bungie acquisition will go through in the next 12 months too.
Yeah. But they did. But they did promise that they're not talking about Bungie games for this.
Still going to triple their revenue.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
Their PC revenue, like just season passes and expansions and the player base on PC, like it's still gonna, it's still going to, it's not going to triple the revenue. It can triple the revenue alone because they didn't have it before.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
they'll make a separate category.
Word vomit. Yeah.
That will say like our seasonal pass microtransactions.
Excluding, they'll say this much PC with an asterisk, excluding Bungie.
Yeah, it'll just have to be separate. So yeah, I just looking at like what their live service games can be like. I don't think the Twisted Metal game will be the one that's coming out this year, 'cause especially they just switched studios like 3 months ago, so I'm assuming that's a long way out. The Deviation game is like the only one that I can think of that we don't know about, but it has been in development a couple years.
Yeah, it's got to be Deviation and Factions. Like that's got to be the two. And I think supposedly on this thing it looked like Factions was slated to release before March 2023.
That's like the
which is the end of their fiscal year.
Yeah,
so their goal, they're on paper right now. They're saying that this will be out before Sony's year ends.
Yeah,
and they also are saying Ragnarok will be out before Sony's year ends.
Yeah, and they usually release a game in March, so it's like
However, I just want everybody to be careful because this call is not for gamers.
No.
This call is to get people to invest in Sony. So there are always, I could probably go back and pull an earnings call from like 2 years ago that says ABC, and that didn't happen at all.
Yeah, but I will say, video game companies can lie to fans. They can lie to other companies, but they can't really lie to their investors. But there are a ton of asterisks when you look at these presentation slides, being like, this might not happen, but there's only so much lying they can do. As opposed to like when we see the state of play, there's going to be some fibs and some lies in that state of play, but they can get away with that. In the investor thing, like they will release some games,
but they can also say like, hey, our plan was to release God of War, but when we went to play testing, it wasn't ready.
Yeah, and when it comes to the live service games, it could be like, shit, came out in April. So we just missed that thing, and it's not that bad.
Or it can come out, and it's like, it came out, 3 months later than we wanted it to, so that the revenue progression stopped because we were hoping to get it enhanced before the holiday season, and we got it enhanced by Valentine's Day. As something. It
released early access, so it wasn't the full release, so you can't really hold it against us. It's not making as much money. There's so many things that they can do to spin this. All right,
and I have a feeling that Factions could be something that's like, okay, here you go, and we're looking into feedback. Like, get ready to hear that. Sony fans are going to have a hard time with that because Sony fans are not used to, I say this very lightly, but a half-baked game coming out at launch. Like they're not used to
their early access stuff has been very limited on PlayStation, especially on PlayStation.
And Factions will have to grow and evolve based on player feedback and how the game and how players interact with it and what they do and they don't do. Just like going all the way back, like For Honor has, The Division has, Fortnite has, Apex has, Destiny has, like all of these games. And it's, Halo has and has not.
Yeah.
I just hope that Naughty Dog's ready for the criticism that comes with what they're trying to accomplish.
I think they're pretty battle hardened from The Last of Us Part 2, just the death threats and all that shit. So I think they'll be able to handle the game criticism because there's going to be a lot. People are going to be looking at this game not only from the perspective of like, is this a good live service multiplayer game, but they're going to be like, is this a Naughty Dog game? And they're going to get that. But
I'm also talking about the headlines of saying like Naughty Dog's player base is below 1 million players. Like as soon as that happens, it's going to be headline news.
Oh yeah,
like, as soon as it
which
happens.
is why they need to.
And it's going to go both ways. Like, is Naughty Dog now the greatest single player and games as a service studio because there's 10 million people playing Factions in March, but then by June it's like, okay, is this a real live service game? Like, you just get ready.
Which is part of the reason why I feel like this game probably needs a beta or an alpha, but I feel like they would not do that. They're just gonna, like, whenever they announce it, it's gonna be like, it's available today or it's available in like 2 weeks. And they're going to just have to skip the beta and the alpha because they can't deal with, like, people.
But they also have to do the marketing that they haven't had to do before. If they're going to do an Apex-style launch, that means that they have to partner with streamers. Like, that's how you do it.
But they literally, that's how Apex was, where it's like,
right.
They had that lined up, and it was within a week. Like, once we found out everything happened, it's
we started hearing rumblings like February 5th, and the game was out by like February 14th, and the event was like February 13th. I'm not saying those dates are correct or not, but like we started to hear rumblings of something from EA. Like, because all of a sudden, like, it's one of those things where, like, a lot of people watch Twitch, a lot of people watch YouTube, and they're like, yeah, I'm gonna, like, if Michael's a marquee streamer, like, yeah, guys, I'm taking the weekend off, like, I'm just gonna go hang out with my family, and you're like, all right, and you go start watching your other favorite streamer, like, yeah, I'm on vacation next week, I got some things I gotta take care of, and you go watch your third or fourth streamer, and they're like, I'm off this weekend, like, what the hell is going on?
That's when you realize something is up, and
this is what I'm talking about, like, the criticism that people have given for a long time, like, if in order for Factions to work, Sony is going to have to open the wallet and pay these streamers and these content creators, something that they have really never done before.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to be able to go to, like, a Dr. Lupo or a Tim the Tatman and go, hey, like, we got a Last of Us faction game we want you to stream. Okay, cool. How much you pay me? Oh, we're not. We're Sony. Yeah. And, like, no, it don't work like that, but...
They have shifted over to where they're very, like... They are prioritizing influencer stuff. We've seen that on social media, that they are, like...
Yeah, absolutely.
They've been leaning towards that the last, like, 2 or 3 years, to the chagrin of, like, most of the fan base being like, stop working with, like, influencers and streamers.
But Sony fanboys are gonna have to be ready for the Twitch community to be in their games. Like, that's all I'm saying. Yeah,
they're gonna have to get used to, like, when Ninja's at the presentation for Factions, and it's like, why is he here? So they're gonna have to get used to that. All right, so the last bit of news is some TV news. So PlayStation just kind of casually announced that, like, God of War is coming to Amazon, Horizon is coming to Netflix, and Sony is developing a Gran Turismo show or movie, but there's no partner announced. I thought this was weird because I thought Amazon would probably want to make this announcement. I thought maybe Netflix would want to make this announcement. We talked about this a little bit ago, probably like 2 months ago, that Amazon was thinking about doing a God of War series, but it sounds like that's been finalized, and we will get a God of War series on Amazon. So, Dave, we were talking about how expensive this is going to be. It seems like Amazon's a good place to do the God of War thing because they're doing the $1 billion Lord of the Rings show, so they got the money. But I wasn't expecting a Horizon show, but that's going to be expensive too. So...
because digital dinosaurs.
And Netflix is kind of in a weird spot, so I'm kind of surprised that Netflix is going for like a big Horizon show.
But I feel like this is also high risk. Like,
that's what I mean. I'm surprised Netflix.
Do you have a desire to see a Horizon television show? You really have, if I could be wrong, but you really haven't beaten Horizon 1.
No. I've watched Sarah play 90% of it. Like, we're supposed to enter the cave that finishes the game. Yeah. And then we did the DLC.
And then I haven't started 2, and you obviously haven't. I don't know if Sarah, like, I'm assuming Sarah hasn't started 2 because she hasn't finished 1. So, but... so now, like, as an example, and it's not happening, but in 6 months, it's like, November 12th, like, Horizon Episode 1. Like, you're not watching it.
I might consider watching it based on how it looks in the trailers, just because, like, I want to see it. But it's like me with Halo. I'm intrigued by the Halo television show, but I don't know enough about Halo, so I haven't watched it. And it's getting rave reviews, Well, those are turning as the show progresses, which is funny, which makes it even more likely that I'm never going to watch the Halo show, because it went from, like, first 3 episodes, rave reviews, and then episode 4, 5, and 6, people are like, But yeah, like, I'm interested in a God of War show just because I want to know what the fuck that looks like. I kind of have an idea of what Horizon's going to look like because it's robot dinosaurs.
But you've also played any God of War game that you wanted to play.
But that's also what I'm curious about, like, because, like, are you going to do old Kratos?
Which mythology are they doing?
Yeah.
So, like...
so I'm curious about that.
Risk-wise, too, like, just cost. Like, do you show, like as an example with Horizon, do you show a CGI dinosaur, or do you do 6, 8, 9 episodes of the threat of them coming and like big shadows you see and stuff like that, but you never see it because of how much it costs to make, and you focus on the character development, which, you know, if Sony's involved in it and Guerrilla's involved in it and their story writers are involved in it, it'll probably be phenomenal. But in terms of what it costs to put a walker on there.
Well, and that's the thing that, like, you know, the Game of Thrones shows like that with, where the show got more expensive because the dragons became more important to the show, and then
but at least by then they knew what they had, and they knew what their audience was.
But then that's when they're like, we do 10 episodes a season to like, we're only doing 6 because like they just couldn't budget that out. Like, I think you can fake it with God of War a little bit more because God of War could be fought in a corridor, you know, and like you could just have a human-sized god fight him instead of, you know, like...
Well, you could almost do an entire episode, or entire season of God of War with him stuck in the underworld.
Yeah, or him just walking with Atreus, like, you could do bottle episodes of God of War. You can do it with Horizon, but, like, Horizon's got beautiful vistas, like, it's a big open world game as opposed to God of War, which is linear, so you could do a linear TV show. Obviously, the TV show is going to be linear, but like a linear game translates to a TV show better than an open world game because you want to see this world that they created, and they can't like hyper focus it on like, oh, we're just going to do character episodes for a couple, you know, like we're just going to lock them in a room and do some bottle episodes. You're going to be like, no, I want to see the show for the fucking dinosaurs, you know? And
like for Gran Turismo, just go hire Vin Diesel, you're set.
Yeah, I kind of hope, I don't know if you remember, I don't even remember if it was like a full show, but one of the Gran Turismo games came with a reality show that they did for a little bit where they like... wasn't it something like if you won so many races in Gran Turismo, you actually got to like... race in a real race.
Like real driver's lessons?
Yeah. So I could see them bringing a reality show, because like, I don't know if Top Gear is still around, but like there's a market for like car shows. So if they wanted to go the reality route, which is significantly cheaper than if they did like a actual story for Gran Turismo, the TV show or movie.
Gran Turismo, the Tester 2.
Yeah, but man, that'd be so much cheaper for them. So like the Gran Turismo stuff I'm hoping for a reality show, because that would probably just make the most sense. Because then you can just get like cars to like pay PlayStation to get featured in the reality show, and that'll be easy revenue. But the God of War show, I'm kind of excited for that, because I feel like there's a lot more stuff they could do with that within like it's going to be an expensive show. It's going to be one of the most expensive shows out there, but like there's a way to work around it. Like the Last of Us show is one of the most expensive shows HBO has made, and it's just a zombie show. You know, like, I don't know what you do with God of War and Horizon.
Do you think that they could get away with a season of God of War without Kratos? Like, could it be like, you just said Atreus as, like, Atreus and his mom?
I think you can probably do a couple episodes a season. You know, like, you could do a flashback season, or flashback episode or two, where it's just, like, Atreus growing up, and I think that would work. Because, like, I don't know how you feel about this, Dave. Like, it's going to be God of War. It's going to be Kratos and Atreus as a TV show, right? Like, they're not going to do the old Kratos thing. Or do you need to do that just so you can understand the character of Kratos?
I would be super interested in, and Athena. Is it Athena?
Yeah.
What was her name? So I'd be interested in Kratos leaving the Greek mythology.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, can you do the show?
No, but in his relationship of getting to where Atreus is born.
Yeah, so you don't show Atreus until like the end of the season or season 2 then.
Right, but like how he met Athena and how he got Athena to fall in love with him.
Was it Athena that...
Or Atreus' mom.
Yeah, Atreus' mom.
A giant.
Yeah.
She's a giant. I could be saying it wrong. I'm sorry. So like I'm not... but, you know, in terms of... Or even a show about her journey with the yellow handprints.
Yeah. Like, there's a lot of things you can do. But at that point in time, there's no Kratos. Yeah, I mean, you could do a split season where it's like, you know, we've seen this before. What is it? Black Summer. It's like a zombie show on Netflix where there's like 6 different characters. Each episode follows that character, and then they all meet up at the end of the season. So you could definitely do something like that where it's like 6 episodes Kratos, 6 episode Atreus' mom, and then they meet up, and then season 2 is the aftermath of that, of, you know, Atreus and Kratos going on like a journey. But yeah, part of me is just like, do you need Kratos's Greek mythology as background for the show, or could you just go like Kratos
it's
Atreus?
It's the same conversation we had about Last of Us. Could you tell a compelling Last of Us story on a television show without Joel and Ellie? And I think the answer is yes.
Yeah. Which is basically what The Walking Dead has done, where it's like, I think most of the main characters from The Walking Dead are dead, like for multiple seasons, so they moved on to other characters. And The Last of Us could definitely pull that off for it. I just want to know what the Horizon one looks like, because the Horizon one, like, it has to be a stunning visual showcase for a show.
But it could also be Aloy with her mom before she got shunned.
But would that be that interesting? Is that would be the key? And PlayStation's got a lot of stuff out on a plate. I know they're not the ones actually producing it, but like, we have a Ghost of Tsushima movie coming. I believe they basically confirmed that like Uncharted will be a franchise, because the first Uncharted movie just made so much damn money. And then we have the Twisted Metal comedy series coming out sometime next year. So there's a lot of PlayStation stuff, and they said they're still pursuing more things, so I'm waiting to see what else PlayStation's going to license out next. It's just hard for me to even think of stuff. Like, maybe they could do like an Infamous show, because superhero stuff is still popular, but by then it might be too late.
Right.
So that there's definitely like plenty of routes PlayStation can go. But that's pretty much everything that I pulled from the PlayStation investors presentation. A lot of interesting stuff. Again, this is like the type of news that we don't get as fans, like for the state of play. They wouldn't mention any of this stuff. So I always find this kind of fascinating.
Yeah. So it doesn't appear that anything's been delayed yet. I'm sure we'll find some stuff that's delayed in the next 2 weeks as these events start happening and people try to sneak like a different release date in there. Like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
So that's inevitable. What we're playing and watching. So I know Michael and I's list are both a little short, so I'll go first. New season of Destiny called Season of the Haunted. They're kind of doing a little bit of retooling of the Nightmare stuff in Destiny from Shadowkeep. They've done a fantastic job of weaving their story in, and I almost would argue that their seasonal storytelling is better than their loot game at the moment. They've really, really, over the last year and a half, nailed the narrative of trying to sign in every week and check things out and see what's going on and wondering what's happening with this character, what's happening with that character. The seasonal content itself, we're going back to the Leviathan, which was a year one Destiny 2 raid location. They've kind of turned that into a little bit of a patrol space. So the event is very, very boring. And as of right now, the guns that are in the event are very blah to me. And I'm kind of just doing more of the week 2 started today. So so far I'm very underwhelmed by this season. However, they did release as a new piece of endgame content, which is a dungeon, which also takes place on the Duality or on the Leviathan, and it's called Duality. And that dungeon is very, very fun. This is a 3-player raid light activity. And I've always said this for a very long time, of as long as the stuff that I'm getting from doing the content is cool, interesting, and top tier, like it's stuff that I want because I want to take it into the other activities to perform better or to do big damage, then I will run your content. And right now the Duality dungeon after this weekend is that. There's new things in there. Like, there are some of the best looking weapons that visually looking weapons that I've seen in Destiny in a long time. And that's a personal preference. I know that. The mechanics are fun enough, and working with a group is fun enough, and some of the weapons that come from there do some really big damage. So that's very cool. So I've been playing a lot of Destiny this week, and there's some other things that are happening with Destiny in general in terms of the storytelling, and they're just continuing to evolve the live service game. I don't know any numbers or if anything was good or anything was bad. I haven't heard anything either way. Usually you only hear about Destiny when it's bad, and so that hasn't happened this week. But there is a lot of reskin stuff in there. So we'll have to see how that goes. They brought another PvP game mode back from Destiny 1, which is called Rift, which is kind of like capture the flag. I played a little bit of that. That came out today, just before we were recording today. It is not as much fun as it was in Destiny 1. I don't know if that has to do with like the majority of the players maybe not knowing how to play. Circling back to what we were just talking about earlier, I was playing with Wyatt.
Mm-hmm.
Wyatt plays on PC, so he drugged me into the PC player base. I didn't have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So I will have to maybe just play in the console player base and see if that's a little bit better. I think there was 12 people on the map, and I think 8 or 9 of them had the keyboard symbol next to their name. So, and then me being 10, so which meant there was like 2 other console players with me. Not fun. But I don't know. It's fine. Like, I love that they're trying to. They're trying, and they're consistently doing things, and whether it's a reskin or not a reskin, bringing the Leviathan, which is a huge space, kind of bringing it back for seasonal content, shows how, in my opinion, shows how successful their seasonal content is, because you're only getting $10 a month or $10 a season from players for this, and obviously there's enough money to do this. So it's interesting to see. Like, the storytelling is phenomenal though. So it's like a weekly television show now for me of like, okay, what's gonna happen now? Mm-hmm. Watching so Sonic the Hedgehog movie 2 that I've already seen with Owen in the theaters came to Paramount Plus. So Owen watched Sonic movie 2 on Sunday, and then he wanted to watch the first one, which is still on Paramount Plus, and then he wanted to watch the second one again. And that was like our Sunday. So but Angela and I did go see Maverick, Top Gun Maverick. Mm-hmm. We saw it in IMAX. So we went to an IMAX theater a little farther from home. Their seats sucked. Like, they were not the leather chair recliners. They were like the old school like seats that didn't recline in the back at all.
The auditorium chairs, basically.
Yeah, like higher back, high enough back for me, which Michael knows is a big deal for me if my like neck hangs off the edge or something like that. So high enough back for me. But we were disappointed at first, but then kind of when we started watching the movie and we got into the movie, like as we were leaving, I'm like, I didn't really notice that I wasn't able to like put my feet up and recline. Like, it would have been nice, but once you started focusing on the movie, you kind of forgot about it. I thought the movie was very, very good. Mm-hmm. Like, very, very good. So I know some people maybe it seems to be simmering a little bit. Some people aren't necessarily a fan of Tom Cruise the person. I've always been able to separate actors and actresses and their personal opinions versus them entertaining me. I've always been able to separate that. But just little things that were in that, like it ended up like my daughter hadn't seen it and we were just putzing around. We ended up watching when we got home, we watched the original Top Gun. It's on Netflix. And like the song at the beginning and the intro is exactly the same. Mm-hmm. Like, the text and the words and all that stuff are exactly the same. It was great. It was a fantastic movie. It was, and just a classic summer blockbuster movie, and it was fantastic. The flight scenes were good. So I don't even think like seeing the first one would be helpful, sure, but if you haven't seen the first one, like, you don't have to
it's a Top Gun movie. Like, it wouldn't necessarily be required, but it could help you understand some of the nuances. But it's a movie about jets.
It's a good movie. Like, it was well worth the money. So that is pretty much it for playing and watching.
For me, Multiversus beta ended last week, but I was still finding myself playing it like every night just because I found it like pretty entertaining. Which is kind of par of the course for me when it comes to like fighting games. Like, I will enjoy them for like a week or two, and then once the like fan base gets too good at it, then I just bail out because I just don't have like the capacity to stay consistently good at a fighting game. But I was able to have enough fun. I did dabble.
Well, hang on, but that's a game. That's a live service game problem. Mm-hmm. Like what you just talked about is a live service game problem.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Is balancing that skill level. The power creep and the skill creep of like, I can't play this game anymore because every time I sign in, I get your ass kicked. Like Street Fighter. Like, I can't go online with Street Fighter. I'll get destroyed.
The only benefit is, at least with fighting games, there's usually an offline mode that you can play with friends and then have
fun. But if you start like playing Smash, if Super Smash Brothers was only online and you could never play against your friends,
I would bounce off. People would walk away. So Multiversus, I was still enjoying it enough. I did find that I was doing better, like, because when we first talked about it, I was mostly doing like the free-for-all, and I kind of hit a wall in 1v1v1v1 based on skill level. But then when I started to play like the tag team stuff, which is like the main mode that they advertise, the 2v2, I actually did really well at that. even though I was playing with strangers, not coordinating, just because you can actually strategize a little bit once you like learn like your the people your opponent's like play style in terms of like, oh, they're chaotic, so if I just like line up at the perfect time, or all I have to do is play keep away, like let them fight out, kind of abandon my partner a little bit. They're going to take a lot of damage, but like I won't have too much damage, so then I will be able to really mess people up. So was playing that all the way up until it ended, which I think it ended on like Friday afternoon, something like that. Like it was a really extensive beta or alpha, whatever they were advertising it as, and it's coming back in July. Hopefully there'll be more characters. I signed
up like during it, so hopefully I get some invite later.
Well, it's going to be open in July, so when it does come back, it's just going to be open to everyone. So I was really enjoying that. I did look at like the leak that people data mined the characters. Definitely has some interesting characters, but like, like the LeBron James data was in there, and I really want to see what he looks like in this game. So, and then there was like rumors of like Scorpion from Mortal Kombat and like Ted Lasso being in it. Like they data mined Ted Lasso. So I'm just like, please make this game bonkers and stupid and crazy. 'Cause like, that's what this needs. Like, it's a competent fighter, but that's not enough to stay.
100%. So if they put, as an example, we'll use the Ted Lasso thing as an example. They get Ted Lasso in this game, and then you're watching on Apple TV Plus. There's going to be Ted Lasso multiverse commercials, guaranteed.
Yeah.
There'll be people that are fans of Ted Lasso might be like, you know what? Let me check this out. And if you get, I don't even know, like a stupid number, like say you get 10,000 people that watch Ted Lasso to play multiverse. Because is multiverse going to work on your phone?
I know it's free to play. I think there might have been talks of mobile games.
So let's just say it does work on the phone. So you download the app, and then you get 10,000 people to sign into the game somehow.
Yeah.
And you keep 1,000.
Yeah.
That's a win. That's a win. You hook 1,000 of them, or you get 500 of them to buy your battle pass or whatever. Like, that's marketing. That's a win. That's a games as a service generating revenue. That's how you do it. People hate to hear people say that, but that's how you do it. Yeah. Microsoft is doing the same thing with the allowing Fortnite to be played on the Xbox Cloud Beta for free, air quotes free. They're getting all your information. You have to make a Microsoft account to play Fortnite. So like the 10 million people that were playing Fortnite on iOS, even if you only got 1 million of them, and then you only get 500,000 of them to stay, that's 500,000 more people than what you had.
Yeah. So I looked it up. It's only console, no Switch. Console, PC, no Switch. Okay. But I would assume this would be something you'd want to put on a Switch as soon as you can. Yeah. This might not be possible for the studio to do it right away. No mobile port, but still, like...
But if it starts generating enough revenue, they can go to somebody that says, hey, you're specialized in porting Switch games? Here's a chunk of cash. Do it.
I mean, that's what happened with Fall Guys. Like, I think Fall Guys eventually came to mobile, and Fall Guys is now, like, going to be on every platform in, like, June or July. So it's definitely open. But, like... They need to keep this game as ridiculous as possible because, like, I don't think Smash Brothers or platform fighters are actually that good, but the fact that you have all the Nintendo characters in one game plus some third-party characters is what keeps you interested in that game. And, like, Nickelodeon All-Stars it's okay, but it's missing, like, voice acting and music to where it's like, okay, like, this is a competent fighter, but it's not gonna have the staying power because it just doesn't have it. And Multiverses gives you like crazy roster that's voice acted.
It's that social conversation, like, oh, you can just share it on Facebook. Oh, look, I just unlocked Scooby-Doo. Like, you're gonna get people's attention.
Yeah, and being free to play is gonna help significantly in terms of like, a lot of people have PS4s in their house. A lot of people have PCs in their house. So they'll be like, you know what? I actually can run this because it's not a crazy, like, intensive game, or it's not going to make my PS4 sound like a jet engine. So, like, people are going to be, like, incentivized to try it. So as long as they keep it crazy, people are going to be into it. The other game that I tried to play, I was only able to get one match in, but there's server issues, is Ubisoft is kind of just were like, hey, Roller Champions is out. And I got
an email about it. I'm like, oh, this is free to play too? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
because I think when you first saw it, we didn't know if it was free to play, right?
No, yeah, because they didn't even say it was coming to console. Like, they were just like, oh, it's PC for now, and that was like 2018, I want to say, that we saw it, or 2019. So, no, 2018, I think. I don't.
I think it's the E3 that was just you and I.
Yeah. So the last E3, so 2019, I think something like that. I was only able to get one game. They were having server problems because they kind of just released it. They did patch it and fix it, but it's basically a roller derby game that's little like energetic, a little bombastic. Definitely trying to capture that like Rocket League energy. The only thing that bothered me with this is they kind of just announced like a week prior that like, hey, Roller Champions is finally coming out. And I feel like they didn't do a good enough job reintroducing it to people, because I feel like coming out of that E3, people were like, hey, Roller Champions could have some of that Rocket League power if they want.
It scares me that they weren't able to do what you're saying, because that would have been a perfect example of like, hey, we're gonna have a Ubisoft Forward on May 18th, and we're gonna show 3 things, and we're gonna show you a new trailer for roller derbies, and you can play it now.
Yeah, and instead it was like, here's a press release. Some websites carried the press release, and it was like, okay, and it's out next Tuesday. So like I was only able to get like one game in. It still plays fine. It's still like a fun roller derby game. But I just worry that Ubisoft is just kind of cleaning their slate, in terms of like, what do we have in development that needs to get out? Okay, cool. Roller Champions, fine. Skull and Bones, get it rated. We're pushing that out this year probably. So it definitely feels like Ubisoft is just kind of like, what's lingering in our back catalog that we announced that we want to clean up and just get out.
And it's to the point with me with Skull and Bones is that whatever they release, I'm gonna check out.
You are, but like I worry that like they're gonna roller champion
it. Trash.
And just be like, it's out. Like we're just gonna get like during the Ubisoft Forward, since we know the game was rated like a month or 2 ago by like the Korean board, like we were talking earlier with God of War, that during the Ubisoft Forward, which I think is in July, though they haven't nailed down a date, they will probably say like, and available today is Skull and Bones, and you hope that's a large enough platform to get people interested in it, as opposed to them just in the middle of the summer being like, here's a press release, Skull and Bones is out.
Hussein's like, oh, Skull and Bones ain't gonna be released until a PS5 Pro. I played Skull and Bones
multiple years,
like with these hands. Like I played it.
Multiple years too, like not just 1 year.
Before the PS5 was even announced, I believe.
I
might have played a PC build, but I played it with a controller with my own 2 hands.
Was it 2 or 3 years in a row?
At least 2.
Yeah, it was 2 years in a row,
like
but
it
not
was
the
18
last
and
one.
19.
No,
it was
like
17, 18. Yeah.
And then they were just like, we don't talk about Skull and Bones.
Yeah, I feel like those people from like Last Guardian, like years ago when I used to listen to like Podcast Beyond, like Ryan Commence is like, I played Last Guardian in 2008. like he played it, and I'm like, wait, I played Skull and Bones. I have a T-shirt to prove that I played Skull and Bones.
Yeah, I
think I have footage.
I think some footage exists of Skull and Bones.
Like, no, I own footage of Skull and Bones, like on one of these PCs.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. Yeah, there's like footage you captured at least 2 years in a row of Skull and Bones. But yeah, part of me with just how they just kind of released Roller Champions, it almost feels like they just wanted to get it out because there doesn't seem to be a big push. And I worry that Ubisoft in their current state aren't really like the iterate till it's popular Ubisoft anymore. So hopefully Roller Champions gets a fair shot. I'm definitely going to try it again this week, probably after we're done recording. Probably try and hop on just to mess around with it and see if people are playing. But that's really it. In terms of watching, I've just been watching, NBA playoffs, and then me and Sarah have been re-watching Teen Titans, like the cartoon from like the early 2000s. I wasn't a Cartoon Network kid, so I didn't really watch the Teen Titans show, but she like grew up watching that show, and like that was like, she was a Cartoon Network kid, I was a Nickelodeon kid, basically. So rewatching that show holds up really well. I'm like kind of surprised how good that show is. And then it made her interested to watch some of those DC animated movies, because I was telling her that like those DC animated movies are significantly better than the actual live action movies that DC puts out. So we kind of started to watch a couple of those.
You started Obi-Wan yet?
I don't really like Star Wars, so I'm kind of waiting for like.
I haven't started it. Because then I know like going to see Doctor Strange like last week, 2 weeks ago or whatever. It kind of intrigued Angela to want to go back and watch more of like What If.
Oh yeah.
So because there's some tie-ins kind of to that a little bit.
Yeah.
So, but I was hearing really good things about Obi-Wan, like from friends.
Yeah, my little sister loves Star Wars, and she's like super excited.
Have some. Yeah, I actually like. I don't know if you're not friends with the same person I am, so I don't know if this is. We'll wrap this up real quick, but I don't know if this is gonna invoke criticism from you or not, or you're gonna not have seen it. It's gonna go either way. Either you're gonna laugh at me, or you're gonna be like, no, I haven't seen it either. Have you seen the show Willow, the movie Willow?
Yeah, I saw the movie. It was like 90s or late 80s.
Yeah. Because Disney Plus is doing another TV show based on.
I saw that, and I was like, why? Like, I didn't really understand. Willow was a good movie.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It looked interesting to me. And so that a friend of mine posted it on Facebook about the trailer, and I was asking him some questions, and he's like, dude, have you not seen Willow? And I'm like, no, isn't that what the show's called? He's like, no. He's like, there's a movie. And I was like, I didn't even know it existed. So I need to watch that.
Yeah, I'm so confused on why they greenlit a Willow TV show. Not that Willow movie wasn't good, but it's like, I never thought there was like a nostalgia.
I thought it was a new franchise.
Yeah, no, it's not. Like, but it just like, I was just like, why are they doing a Willow show in 2022? Like, I know,
but it had a lot of hype around it, though.
Yeah. I didn't think like there were Willow fans clamoring for like, I can't wait for Disney to make a TV show. So I don't know.
Right. So, all right. So that's it for what we're planning on watching. So questions and comments. We have one question from Stefan. What is your favorite beer? I am currently drinking this lovely Spanish lager.
He put a picture, but I didn't get the picture in there.
Oh, okay. I don't really drink beer. So I've had some good beers before that when I've been in Wisconsin. I've had like something called like Spotted Cow, I believe, and that was really good. But I'm not like an IPA. I'm not a dark beer or craft beer. I mean, I know Michigan supposedly has some of the best crafting beer in the country. But it's just, beer has never been something that is appealing to me to have with a meal or just by itself.
Yeah, I feel like beer's it overtakes the...
For the record, I don't drink wine either.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm not I'm more of a, like, I just got a really nice whiskey, but like I took one glass of it like a month ago. Oh no, I when I watched Chippendale, I had whiskey. And I don't plan to drink any more of that whiskey for like 3 or 4 months. Like when I've had the same like Japanese gin for about like 2.5 years, and I have no idea if I will ever finish that bottle. So I don't really do beer because it's kind of yucky. Like light beer is disgusting. Like anytime someone offers me like a Miller or a
See, like that's like I can drink Bud Light, Miller Lite at a restaurant. That's essentially like my extent because I don't want to go through that whole. I don't know what half the stuff is on the list.
Yeah. I don't like the craft beer things. Too confusing. I guess I'd be into like light beer if I was in the suburbs, but I'm not. So.
Oh my god.
Because it's just like Miller Lite or any light beer. I just imagine like.
But at the same time, like if somebody gave me a can of Budweiser, I would just drink it. Or a can of Miller beer. Like it doesn't have to be light. It has to be Bud Light.
I would be like, "What are you trying, sir? Give me a soda." Because I don't like beer. I mean, I like a cider. Cider's pretty good. Yeah. But like I
have a friend that's like will hold like a Bud Light and will hold like a real beer that I don't know what it's called, and he's like, "You want water or beer?"
Like, and then I would be like,
"That's how he'll."
I want actual water. Please get that away from me. So yeah, I'll drink a cider, but like I'm one of those people, like you give me a cider or like if you give me a beer and I have no choice and I just have that beer, I will babysit that bottle for the duration of the evening. Like it will be in my hand and room temperature because I will just like hold that and just waste it at the end of the day of just like, yeah, I took 2 sips and then just throw it out. Just because I'm just not a beer person.
Yeah, he's like somebody's like, "Oh, Coca-Cola and Pepsi are better." Well, Michael likes Coca-Cola.
Yes.
I have tried to not drink. I drink very minimal pop now, pop soda, whatever you want to call it, for this year. So, but all right. So that's the question we got this week. I know we didn't really advertise questions early enough. Shame on us, but shame on you for not sending questions when you think of them. So
yes.
As soon as you think of a question, just send it. So you don't have to necessarily wait for us to ask for them. So. And that is our show for this week. So you can follow us on Twitter at Digital Days Pod. You can follow Michael at The First MJC. You can follow myself at Good Dave Hunt. And then, like I said at the beginning of the show, Facebook's group is linked in the show notes. Discord server. You can follow us on the Twitters. Follow us on Twitch. Subscribe on Twitch if you're able to or want to. Patreon.com/digitaldaysgaming, where after we record this, we're starting to catch up on the bonus stuff that we're really behind on. So we're gonna get a jump on that. So if you want to definitely check out some of our bonus content around Summer Game Fest, E3 stuff, whatever. E3 doesn't exist, but I'm still gonna keep referring to as E3 stuff. So in terms of like Microsoft Showcase, the Summer Game Fest, if and when Ubisoft does a forward, like if we think it's all of a sudden there's like 2 or 3 days in a row of great news, we might record something separate from the regular show, so we don't spend the whole regular show doing it. Definitely check that stuff out. So with that in mind, I hope everyone has a great week, and keep moving forward.
Don't be a dick. See ya.